Hey YouTube, I'm Blaze, and today I have a hero concept for you. This one's going to be on Ahsoka Tano. I'm just going to have a look at what I think her stats and abilities should be, and obviously this is open for discussion, so feel free to join in the comments below. Let me know how you think Ahsoka should turn out. Now, she has been heavily hinted by devs, and if the next hero is coming for Battlefront 2, it will almost certainly be Ahsoka and or Ventress. So I thought I would have a stab at what I think Ahsoka's abilities should be or will be in Battlefront 2. The way I've decided on this concept goes by the rule of how unique, coherent and balanced these ideas are. So if I come up with a wildly overpowered idea, then that doesn't work. If I come up with a idea which doesn't fit into Ahsoka's playstyle, then obviously that doesn't work. And if I come up with an idea which is very bland, so just like another hero, then that also shouldn't go, and obviously any combination of those. The playstyle I'm going to be giving Ahsoka is going to be as agile as you can get. However, it's not going to be based on killing your opponents before they manage to shoot you like Maul is, but rather based on being hard to hit and being able to bounce between enemies until they're all dead. For this reason, Ahsoka should have a very large lunge distance, should have a very short attack speed, so faster than Anakin, make it the best in the game, and then we'll balance it out with other areas later. And you also need to have a low damage, otherwise, if she does 150 a hit at 1.5 a second, you're going to be melting through anybody, and we just don't want another OP character in the game as it is. So keep the damage at 100, obviously it's plus 20 at the back regularly, so 120 to the back. But also make sure that her swings means that she's moving a lot, so ducking or jumping like she does in the Clone Wars, so maybe throw a few somersaults in there whilst she's on the spot, a bit like Yoda, just on a bigger scale. I'm going to give her 600 health to make sure that she doesn't act like a tank in any way, but then 350 health regen to make sure she's always got enough health to take on a group or small group of enemies with her attacks, because otherwise, no matter how much you jump and bounce around, if you only run into a fight with like 300 health as a saber hero, you're probably going to get taken out pretty quick. However, with Ahsoka, you'll find that the lowest health you'll ever be on is 400, which is quite large to be honest, but not too much that she's never going to be defeated, as she'll never be on more than 600 health, which is the lowest of all saber uses in the game. Since we're encouraging players to move around a lot with Ahsoka, I would say that her block needs to be effective, so it needs to be very accurate, but it needs to have a very short stamina pool, so it will drain stamina quickly, and I think our regular attacks should drain stamina just above average compared to other saber users, because we really want to be encouraging her to use her abilities as well, which are high movement based, and I'll move on to those in a moment. After I tell you the ideas that I had, which then I turned down, so I thought of giving Ahsoka 3 dashes like Dooku, but that wasn't very unique, and honestly I think Ahsoka could rely on her abilities more than just short dashes. I also thought of giving her increased dash range. Once again, I don't think she actually needs that. Instead, we've got abilities for her, which you'll see in a moment, and I also thought of giving her a damage reduction when she swings, so that she can do it in front of a group of enemies, but then I realised that actually the agility that she'll have is a good enough supplement, as well as the, obviously, abilities. Again, talking of abilities, we're going to move on to her first ability, which I thought could be a short dash. So, unlike Luke or Yoda, where this will work exactly the same, except it will be very short range, and she'll do that somersault thing she does. So it's like in the Clone Wars, you see a lot when she somersaults over the back of her opponents. It's like that, and she'll do damage on any opponent in her path for 100 damage. And what this allows her to do is to quickly jump behind targets. I think it should have 3 charges base, but I don't necessarily think it needs a star card of its own to give it a 4th charge like Luke or Yoda. And I know this isn't very unique, but I really think it must be an essential part of Ahsoka's kit to be able to move quickly. But by giving these kind of half the range that kind of Luke would have, these are pretty much normal swings, it's just they make her move a bit faster. And obviously you can attach star cards onto this, which maybe give her a movement boost afterwards, maybe give her damage reduction during it, etc. If she's going to be wandering into groups of enemies, I thought it was only fitting that she had a channel ability, i.e. an ability that she pops, and then that gives her boosted stats for a short amount of time. Definitely, I think she should have up to a 50% speed increase, that's for sure. I also think she should have 150 boosted health, so that allows her to take on a maybe a few more enemies, but also I think she should stop the health regeneration of any enemies in her area, so all enemies in a short radius around her cannot actually gain health in any way, so they cannot boost health from an officer, and they cannot regen health, so toughen up is also cancelled. Obviously, because this is very powerful, it needs to have a long cooldown. And I also think, since the duration should be somewhere around 10-15 seconds, I think the cooldown should be more around 20, 25, maybe even 30 seconds, just to really make sure this isn't abused. For her final ability, I think she should have a kind of longer dash, but instead of regular dash, she actually takes 1 or 2 strides and then slides along the ground with her lightsabers out, cutting the legs of her enemies, so that will deal 100 per hit. But then at the end, she is going to flip up, and all enemies around her will also take 100 damage, a bit like Grievous's claw rush in a way, but she won't be able to cancel it early, and she won't be able to change direction. She'll just do the slide and do the flip, and hopefully take out some enemies along the way. It will also work as a pretty good escaping ability, which is one thing that Ahsoka needs, because she will lose health relatively quickly without a large amount of it. She needs to be able to get out of a fight, and obviously her short range dashes are more aggressive abilities because they don't have much range, they just keep her moving. However, this ability will move her very quickly along the floor when she's hard to hit. I thought about maybe giving it a damage reduction like Grievous's Claw Rush, but I think you can just leave that up to a star card. Speaking of star cards, I'm not actually going to be doing those in this video because I don't think they're particularly worth it. I mean, they're not really very relevant. Obviously, she has a health on kill card and a couple of other gimmicks apart from that, but they don't really make too much difference, and it's not really worth predicting it either. So I'm just going to round off the video here. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more content like this. See ya.